Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Silver Slayer. Thanks for tuning in and welcome. Right now is a key moment as an investor, whether it's from stocks, Bitcoin, to precious metals. This stuff is key right now. You gotta be on your A game. You gotta be able to adapt and adjust and also think rationally, without emotion, realistically. There's a lot of stuff happening right now. A lot of news, a lot of stories, a lot of different things that are happening, and that drives speculation, that drives fear, rumors, and a lot of volatility. Now, Bitcoin stocks, they go with volatility. They're used to that. But precious metals is a little bit different. There's intrinsic value. Usually, gold and silver go off of supply and demand. But now more than ever, we're seeing this S word, which is speculation, creeping into the markets, which is a scary thing because now we don't know the behavior of it since we've never seen it to this degree, especially at this massive of a level. Global pandemic exposing the US dollar as being extremely weak, countries opting out of the US dollar as the world's reserve currency, leading into a presidential election that the world's watching. And whether each one of these candidates win, it looks like silver is going to be bullish. Now, this video is primarily focused on some things that are going to make it explosive, right? Some bullish factors. On a day-to-day basis, one little tweet can switch and throw things so far off left field, and you need to be aware of this. You've got to stay updated. On a day-to-day basis, I will give you guys the newest, latest, freshest, most up-to-date information, keeping you guys in the loop about what's happening to gold and silver prices. Why are they acting the way they are and where they're most likely headed. That's extremely important, especially right now. So you got to be subscribed to at least channels similar to mine that make daily videos letting you guys know, because right now more than ever, especially if you're looking to buy, sell, trade, or hold, you got to be on your A game. So you don't want to just blindly invest, especially right now. Now, there's a lot that I have to cover over today. I'm probably going to make 2 to 3 videos. If I only make 2 videos, then expect the third one bright and early in the morning. I'm going to try to go for 3 because there is so much. I literally had to choose. I had to weed out some articles and have to go off of the top ones that I think is important enough or beneficial enough to talk about. This first one is talking about 3 unstoppable forces set to drive silver prices. Now, most of us know, global pandemic, right? Presidential election, but it goes a lot deeper because why is a global pandemic hurting or affecting prices? Why or what's going to happen when the election comes, and especially whether Trump or Biden wins? That's the stuff we got to dig into. Stimulus packages obviously are going to affect prices in a positive way, but who's to say that the stimulus is going to be X, Y, or Z amount of money, and what's going to happen when people or speculation forces people to have to make a decision? That's the stuff that we need to talk about. Links in the description. 3 unstoppable forces set to drive silver prices. The Fed will continue to pursue inflationary stimulus regardless of the election outcome. Insatiable demand for solar energy and various electronic applications will continue to use up more silver. We've seen this this growing demand for silver over the last couple years. It's not something that has happened for too long. Now, there's 3 things that are affecting the demand of silver at alarming rates. Well, it's good though. Alarming as in a good term. And those 3 things are solar panels, electric vehicles, 5G technology, or 5G towers. Obviously, solar panels is one of the bigger things because everyone in the world is trying to go green, especially with Biden. And photovoltaic cells, which are in solar panels, are heavily going to be, needed throughout a global or on a global scale. That boosting silver demand drastically. Now, it was a lot higher than we thought, but they found a way to use like 75% less silver in the solar panels, so the demand isn't going to be as impactful as a lot of people think, but it's definitely still a lot of silver. And if you add in the two other factors too, electric vehicles and 5G, it's really probably not going to hurt silver to a percentage basis too much, if any. Now, a mining supply deficit in silver will contribute to market tightness and possible bottlenecks that render refined silver products difficult to obtain by investors and industrial users alike. We saw the U.S. Mint run out of Silver Eagles earlier this year. Royal Canadian Mint shut down for 2 weeks. Miners, Mexico and Peru, some of the biggest countries, accumulating for 40% of the global silver production, being shut down. And even after reopened, very strict policies, not minimal workers, transportation, definitely some transportation difficulties with border and everything that goes along with that. It's just everything got pushed way back, and there's consequences to that. Like I said, the demand for silver is higher than ever, and not only just from those three things I mentioned, but from individual investors as well, people like you and I that also want to hold some silver. So demand is higher than ever, but the supply is weaker than ever. Weaker than ever. Silver is found by accident. Nobody's looking for silver. It's not profitable. They're looking for gold. If they find silver on the side, they'll take it, but they're not looking for it. So this is extremely important stuff to realize. Low supply, high demand shoots the price up. That's why we're starting to see premiums on these American Eagles. Before, American Eagles were close to spot, $1 or $2 above spot. Now we're seeing American Eagles $10, $15 above spot price. That's crazy. American Eagles are worth as much as pandas now, but pandas have a reason to be that high. The design changes every year. There's very low mintage numbers, highly collectible. American Eagles, not so much. So this is going in an interesting direction, to say the least, and we have to learn how to adjust and adapt, because if we keep trying to apply our old formulas, our old perspective, our old mind state into this new market, we're going to get burnt. So the threat of economically crippling lockdowns, the promise of unending monetary stimulus, and the uncertainty of game-changing political outcomes is the new normal for investors. Like I was just kind of saying, it's a new normal, and we got to get used to it. The quicker we get used to it, the more we can do with it. The pandemic won't be eradicated anytime soon, and even when it finally is, the economic and social costs will continue to be borne for years to come. And that's a good point. It's not like when they have a winter, everything just goes down, because then after the winter, now what that winter does with over the next couple of years is also going to highly affect precious metals prices, and everything is looking to be bullish. Though I don't see any situation that would be that would be hurtful to gold and silver. The more money we throw into the economy, bullish for gold and silver, more people lose trust and uncertainty especially in the governments. People invest into silver. In such an environment, all conventional asset classes carry heightened risk. Certain types of assets may now be well positioned to shine. Among them is silver. With politicians and central bankers desperately trying to paper over real economic losses with artificial stimulus, the outlook for the value of the U.S. dollar looks bleak. And that's what I was saying earlier in this video. Like, yes, massive stimulus is a great thing to keep the economy afloat, so people that were laid off or can't find work can still get some money in their pocket. But there's also a consequence to that. That money isn't coming out of thin air. That money's coming from somewhere. Now, the instant gratification, the instant thought is, who cares, right? That's great. Give these people money. But in the longer term, I think it's going to be a lot darker than a lot of people expect. People think America's the richest country, but we're $27 trillion in debt. We're the richest country because we own the most gold out of any other country. Gold is what's real value. A record 3.1 trillion federal budget deficit combined with an explicit new inflation-raising campaign by the Federal Reserve puts holders of dollar-denominated paper assets in jeopardy. Hard assets in general and precious metals in particular act as a natural countermeasure to currency depreciation. As the dollar, or as time goes on, the dollar weakens. As time goes on, gold and silver strengthen. Some commodities, such as crude oil, have suffered greatly in recent years amid the push for green alternatives to fossil fuels. Dramatic growth in electric vehicles and solar energy installations is likely to continue, regardless of the upcoming election outcome. And that is so true. Regardless of who wins, even if this election wasn't happening, if it was on one of the other 3 years, this would still be highly explosive stuff for silver. But add an election and a global pandemic on top of it, we're talking about crazy prices. I mean, if you want to talk about crazy silver prices, ladies and gentlemen, we're living in crazy times. If you could tell me that silver would for sure hit $100 within a 10-year period, let's say 2010 through 2030, a 20-year period, if someone was to tell me, let's say like I'm from the future or from the past, if someone was to say over 2 decades, a 20-year period, silver is going to hit $100, what year do you think it's going to be? And I knew I could look at 2010 through 2030. I would definitely say right now, if you think about it, right now is the most explosive time for precious metals. Even in 2011, when silver was $50, things were nowhere near extreme as this. Yes, recession, and it looks a lot similar to this, but just more severe. Recession/depression, 2008 credit crisis started everything off. Back then, 3 years later, $50 silver. Nowadays, recession/depression. And back then, there were billion-dollar stimulus packages getting put together for the people. Nowadays, recession/depression, trillion-dollar stimulus packages, and a global pandemic. So there's a lot more on the line. Things are a lot more severe. And if that led silver to $50 back then, imagine what it could do nowadays, especially as the dollar is a lot weaker nowadays as well. We're talking about some serious stuff. If anyone is listening to this and understands and really can comprehend what I'm saying, and you still think precious metals are a bad investment or don't have potential, then I don't know what to tell you. You probably shouldn't be investing. You should probably go back to 4th grade or something, because it is so blatantly obvious that gold and silver have the upper hand, are the safer, smarter alternative than any other investment. It's honestly, it's funny to some extent, and it's funny that people actually know about this stuff, that know the value, know the risks with their other investments, or even just holding their money in fiat currency, but they don't do anything about it. The people that don't know, they don't have a chance. They don't even have an option. A lot of people don't even invest, don't even look at any dollar they get. They're trying to spend it as soon as they get it. So a lot of people, it doesn't even I guess count for them. But imagine the people that do know about this stuff, that do know the value of a dollar, that do know the value of precious metals, that do understand all this, and they still don't invest into it. That's the people that scare me. And that's the ones that kick themselves in the butt harder than ever, because they knew the right thing to do. They knew the profitable option, but they hesitated. They played off of emotions and not off of rational thinking. Some commodities, such as crude oil, have suffered greatly in recent years amid the push for green alternatives to fossil fuels. Dramatic growth in electric vehicles and solar energy installations is likely to continue. The upshot is that all viable alternatives to fossil fuels require massive amounts of metal, from copper to nickel to silver to rare earths. Silver is found in virtually every electronic device. Silver is the most highly conductive metal for thermal conductivity and electricity, so yes, it's used for everything. Everything. So Silver's excellent electrical conductivity makes it a natural choice for everything from printed circuit boards to switches to TV screens. And especially for as cheap as silver is, silver responds like no other metal. Back in biblical days, they thought silver was magical, was literally magical the way it responded with other elements. And that was when they had silver as valuable as gold, or almost. The silver ratio, or the gold to silver ratio, was 2.5 parts silver equals 1 part gold. And that's when they saw it as magical. So back in the day, biblical times, silver and gold were about the same, were equal in value. And I don't know why it still isn't. The trend toward more metals intensive energy development could accelerate if Joe Biden wins the presidency and Democrats take over the Senate. And that's definitely true because of solar panels. That's where if Biden wins, solar panels would take off, and that's really where precious metals could benefit, and stimulus. If Trump wins, obviously the dollar could gain strength or lose strength, and that could heavily affect gold and silver. We found out, or we know, the dollar and silver prices are directly correlated. And this isn't a theory, this isn't a guess, this is a fact. If the dollar index is down, gold and silver is high. If the dollar index is high, gold and silver is down. That's a direct correlation. It's not just a theory. So Biden now says he rejects the most extreme planks of AOC's Green New Deal platform, including a ban of fracking. But he is still vowing to push through a multi-trillion-dollar green energy program of his own. Regardless of the election outcome, most America's largest corporations will continue to pursue environmental, social, and governance targets. In recent years, shareholder activists, including government pension funds, have successfully foisted their ESG demand upon corporate America. It's why today fast food companies feel compelled to virtue signal their support for everything from reducing their carbon footprint to implementing critical race theory to celebrating transgenderism. What does any of this have to do with selling burgers? It has to do with the fact that taking up politically fashionable cause it's near prerequisite for doing business as a publicly traded company. And that's definitely true from a marketing, from a campaign aspect. It makes sense. They even saw AOC playing video games online, streaming with other of the biggest streamers on YouTube and Twitch, which is crazy. Someone like her is playing with other people online video games. That's a marketing, that's a campaign technique. She's not doing that for no reason. Demand for photovoltaic solar system is expected to explode in the years ahead. This year, solar-related stocks have been among the hottest performers in the market. But as demand continues to grow, the solar industry could soon run into a serious problem in critical metals, including silver. Photovoltaics are one of the fastest growing sources of industrial demand for the white metal. Silver saw 7% increase in such demand over the last 85 million ounces. And meanwhile, the investment demand for silver bullion has been surging in recent months at the same time as mining supply is contracting due to adverse economic and political lockdown conditions. Silver often trades in a volatile manner. It's like gold on steroids. Higher highs and lower lows. It's like gold on steroids. And that can be a good thing or a bad thing depending upon how you like to invest, the risks you like to take. There's a lot of gaps. There's a lot of opportunity. The margins are much bigger than gold, but that can also work to that can work to your favor or that can work against you. So the Fed will continue to pursue inflationary stimulus regardless of the election outcome. Insatiable demand for solar energy and various electronic applications will continue to use up more silver, and mining supply deficit will contribute to market tightness. At some point, higher silver prices will send market signals that alleviate the supply and demand crunch, but that point may be years away and multiple of price appreciation ahead. And I love that the last point. This is so important. A lot of people don't think about this, and it's overlooked. Higher silver prices will send market signals that alleviate the supply and demand crunch. Alleviate it. So low supply, high demand shoots the price up. Producers turn into the consumers